I don't really have any predictions about the SPY, but I am kind of negative. I'm seeing a lot of negative news that's going to make inflation pressures increase from all directions, basically from China, from Europe, and from home here. So I see more red coming our way.
I absolutely agree with your assessment of the fundamentals. The question is, has the market gotten out of denial yet?
I don't think so. I think the market knows. I think that's why we don't see the volume. I think the market knows. That's why we're not seeing the volume. Everything is kind of dry across the board, and you can see that there's not a lot of volume coming in as retail is waiting. They're waiting for a further dip so they can buy cheap. You can see
Yeah,
that on social media.
I was wondering if that was like still part of the summer effect because I'm wondering, okay, when does the volume start coming back in for the next cycle after summer? But I wasn't seeing it, but I just thought that was part of the cyclicality of the market.
I was wondering the same. This is my first year of trading, and I'd heard July was notoriously small volume, and I assumed that the volume would slowly tick back up, and it's like almost looks like it went down a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the market some last year. I don't think I paid too much attention to volume, but I don't remember it being quite like when you're looking at it, it looks like it's frozen in place as you're watching the markets.
You're totally right, though. The volume since July has, well, I mean, July was notoriously low as per the usual, but from there, it's only decreased, which is very unusual for August because there's usually that big breath that happens, and we did get it. Like the market surged, but the volume just wasn't there. Part of what I'm speculating on is that we have more retail participants that are holding long on on stocks for the long term and doing the value investing, but we also see more of them participating in options and reading the market based on other data that's been provided by new data providers like Unusual Whales for one. Unusual Whales has massively changed the game in favor of retail because it offers a singular platform for analyzing options in almost real time. Like there's almost no delay for them. So it does give retail a huge advantage to see what way Wall Street is pulling and where the whales think the market's going to go. And just following those trades could be the reason why we see this huge rally in such a short amount of time and why we're also not seeing retail
That's my thinking.
participants selling out or just getting swept out of the market. People are playing it both ways in a way that retail participants traditionally haven't.
Well, and you keep seeing that consumer sentiment and some of the spending is up and that, but it seems like it's going to be uneven because the people at the bottom don't have the luxury. There's a lot of jobs available, but maybe the people at the bottom aren't doing the spending. And they're also the ones that they're working already. They don't have the ability to go out and maybe get a third job to fill the gap. Like they keep saying unemployment needs to come down. But the people that you know what I mean? There's like an imbalance there and they're waiting for certain factors to be driven down. But the people that might be needed to do it aren't the ones that need it.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. The stupid freaking corporation people and all the people looking at like earnings and unemployment and everything, they simultaneously want the American worker to fail and succeed. So they want them to spend their money with the corporations, but not make any money because they're unemployed. It's so stupid and evil and dumb.
It really is like completely, it's circular thinking. It makes absolutely no sense the way that they've tried to sell they've spun this story in a way that we have to both be the liquidity of our entire economy by supplying the market with buying goods and services constantly, but we also need to lose our jobs as a just overall so that the economy can calm down. Like, I'm sorry, what? That those two positions, those two opinions are in direct conflict with each other. You can't both
Yes.
have a strong economy and a recessing economy at the same fucking time.
And at the same time, it's the people who are going to need assistance and the ones that spend that are going to actually be the ones that are going to be like, well, why did you spend? They're spending money they don't have. Why don't they save? And they get chastised, and yet they're still expected to be the ones to prop up the economy and then chastised when they run out of money when they aren't able to do so. It's like their own fault. They get blamed for it.
Yeah.
Damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Honestly, I just say,
There
you
you
know
go.
what? Just start lighting some bottles with gasoline on fire and just stand there for a while. Just
Gasoline.
stand there.
That might be the new way to heat this year, so, this winter. So,
Or we could burn our money if inflation gets high enough.
There you go. That's that. Now we can put it to real use and make that paper actually do something.
I was Scrap Queen. To build on your point, maybe it's slightly aside, but the earnings for Q2, while mixed, were, I would say, more or less more on the positive side than people were expecting. But what nobody delved into with the earnings sheet and everything was volume of product and services sold. They only looked at the quantity of money that was sold. And I decided to use a single data point to decide whether we'd crossed over, because I had a theory that this year we would cross over with inflation between the amount of money they made through inflation versus volume of service and goods sold, where they would finally start losing money. And I believe we hit that in about June. And I gauge that based on the gasoline volume of sales versus the money that they earned. They sold less gas. If they're selling less gas, they sold less of everything in the economy, in my humble opinion, because gas is what moves the products, for one.
You're exactly right. And I was reading that that's going to be one of the critical things. I read like a couple of weeks ago, diesel costs went up, and that's the lifeblood of our transportation, trucking and gas. But I listened to the earnings call for Gap, and they cited gas in particular as one of the things that resulted in them having less sales because people were driving less because of the cost of gas. So therefore, they had more online sales, but they were getting less in-store sales because people were just driving less. They couldn't afford it.
And that's really crazy for 4th of July time. That's nuts. That's their biggest sale month for gas.
And this is the good times when people have excess money. What about when heating bills come and energy costs go up in the winter for people?
I think Q3 earnings are going to be abysmal for everyone.
Yeah, and food inflation is going to get worse. I don't know if anybody looked, but the drought and the energy crisis is impacting crops everywhere around the world, including here. So we're going to continue to see food inflation go up. It might ease a little bit if that's what they were saying with the Fed maybe in the fall, but I think it's going to go back up. If there is a little bit of easing, I still think we're going to see an increase after that.
Yeah, I was really worried about the food shortage. We'll probably be okay in America, but who's to say a can of soup still won't cost $10, you know?
I don't know about 10, but yeah, it definitely could go up.
Dude, there is some pasta sauce that costs $12 a jar here.
Some what? What is it? A jar of what?
Spaghetti sauce.
Wow.
Pasta sauce costs $12. What the hell? Dude, it's crushed tomatoes boiled down. Like, what the hell? Oh my god.
The price of tomatoes, I can't remember where, I just read it earlier. The price of tomatoes actually went up domestically here.
Yeah, I believe that.
I don't know if you mind sharing your location, Scrap Queen. I don't want to.
He's Detroit.
Oh, no problem. I'm in Detroit. I think everybody knows it. I've said it quite a bit.
Okay, so I've only been to Detroit like one time, but that's it gets freaking cold up there. So I imagine there's, I don't know if there's much farm in Michigan. I know there's a lot in Ohio.
Yeah, North Michigan. Yeah, north of me. But yeah, there is a lot of farming in Michigan. The further north you go, there's farmland.
Okay,
a lot of fruit, some crops. Yeah.
Hey, Scott Clean, do they farm tomatoes? What's your?
We're big on here is tomatoes. No, I know we do blueberries big here, cherries here, apples.
A lot of stuff that does well into colder climate, I can tell.
Yeah. And I know we're going to have some heating pressures and gasoline pressures because of that Indiana refinery that serves 25% of 4 states, including Michigan, are served by that refinery for gasoline and the products that are refined by them.